Thanks for joining us tonight for a Dreamtime Transmission. Hopefully, these dreams help you drift into sleep easily. I would greatly appreciate it if you liked and subscribed before you drift off. New videos are released every night, so join us tomorrow if you like. Thank you, and good night. From Minuscule Muse, I always lucid dream, but I have no control of my dreams, just aware that it is a dream. Ever since I was very small, I dream of the same guy. Dark, floppy hair and intelligent dark eyes. He's reserved and honest, but very passionate if you get to know him. Also spiritually inclined, he would give me little hints about many things I'd only realize later. Usually in the dreams we are children, playing in a beautiful forest. Sometimes he'll appear as a man in other dreams. We seem to be closer in age. The most vivid, I was in the dream for 3 full days and nights. It was intense, emotionally and spiritually. Had this one after becoming and asking God if I'm meant to be married. I needed help and met him as he offered a service for my unique issue. But later on, he needed my help too, as he was secretly struggling very deeply. I worry about him. If he's real, I'm never allowed to hear his name. The dream always mutes it, but I'm fairly certain it's 2 syllables. He shares a birthday with someone he's related to, like I do. And when we hug, my head fits perfectly between his shoulder and chest. I've nicknamed him Raven. It's bittersweet. I've loved him my whole life, and he may only be a dream. I don't know if I'll ever be able to really fall for another man as I compare all men IRL to him. I guess I'm just venting. Maybe mourning. From Key Use 7172. I just woke up from a dream, and I was terrified. The dream was about me going to a continuation of an event that I went to today. There wasn't supposed to be a continuation, so I was confused, as my dreams and always very realistic, and I catch on really quickly that I am dreaming. When I realize I was dreaming, I just sit back and enjoy the show, but it never ends well. At the continuation, I was still suspicious on whether I was dreaming of, not. I was in first person, and it all felt really realistic. As I realized it was a dream, I woke up and found a crow right next to my head where I lay. I thought it was real. As I said, my dreams are super realistic. I could hear it crow in my ear and the vibrations that went through my head. I froze. My body couldn't move, and I could feel countless waves of electricity going through my eyes and head. It felt like I was having a seizure. I could feel everything. My hands were twitching, and I couldn't wake up no matter what. I even reached out to my sister beside me to at least inform her because I thought that maybe I'd die in my sleep. Until a minute later, where I eventually rolled over to my little sister who was sleeping next to me and quickly opened my eyes, that I realized I was dreaming the whole thing. It felt freaky, super scary too. I immediately went online to look for it and found that it might be sleep paralysis. Does anyone else have a similar experience?
From Brain Horgor Zero. Well, I had this weird dream last night, and I'm totally noob to Jungian style of dream interpretation and symbols in dreams. I would appreciate if someone could interpret this dream. My mother and I were at a strange restaurant with dark vibe, and my mother was eating some kind of uncooked poisonous fish that she told me people say these fishes are deadly and dangerous to eat, but they are wrong. Then she told I must try them. After the first bite, although it didn't taste bad, I vomit and then woke up. I really want to know the symbol of those uncooked, toxic fishes.
From Beer is Awesome 01. Okay, I'm in my sort of area when I was growing up. I'm with some woman, and we are playing marbles in a road near where I lived. Somehow a load of marbles ended up in the road. I give her knowing wink as she picks up a bowl. I walk off, walking through a local park, drawing my path using a biro pen. I then begin looking for this woman, heading up to a road junction where a number of trees are. As I get there, I meet an old couple who I seem to know. I greet them and they walk off. All of a sudden a strong wind kicks in and the old couple are swept up into a now flying nearby big tree, both being killed. The wind stops. The tree returns to the ground and re-puts itself back in the ground. Somehow I move this tree towards the edge of the pavement, still rooted in its set, and leave it. A local man, who I seem to know, tells me that a tree across the road from the tree I've just moved is the nasty tree. I look at the nasty tree and at the fallen bodies of the old couple and ask people to call an ambulance. I then remember the woman with the marbles and I go looking for her. Again, I loop around, again going through the park, using a biro pen to trace my route, but I never find her.
From Dr. Israel. So I just woken up from a dream in a questionable way at a questionable time. In the dream, I receive a call from an unknown man whom sounded angry about something and was trying to find or access my IP address to ether my Wi-Fi or something. The thing is, my Wi-Fi is garbage and causes limited access to websites unless you have a VPN. Anyway, we had a chat and I went to get a donut from my kitchen I recognized as my mum's place before the hacker got through, saying my IP and mentioning I have hotspot. Here is the kicker. Remember that the Wi-Fi is bad? Well, get this. It's the same Wi-Fi I use IRL. When I woke up, my oven was going off in a malfunction type of way, and when I checked the time it said 3:50 a.m. on the dot.
From Let's Go Hawks Fuck State. For context, him and I are both gay, used to be in a relationship and mutually ended the relationship. We are still very, very close, and lately our friendship is changing towards a relationship again. So the dream is this. I am observing this from a distance. We are both in a window at a cafe, noticeably older than we are now. We are smiling. I am drinking coffee, and he is drinking tea. A waiter comes by, and I put my hand on his and order 2 pastries. Then after this, I always wake up. I have had this dream every time I sleep the last few days, and it's all I can think about for a while after I wake up. So anyone help me understand it?
From Organic Vermicelli 62. So I was at a house party. I went downstairs to the basement, because the guy I was talking to was down there, and I wanted to low-key talk to him. When I went down into the basement, the guy I liked and a girl were sitting on a bed, talking together. So when they saw me walking, I pretended I didn't notice and walked into the other room to seem like I had other reasons to be down there. It was quiet while I was down there, so when I walked back upstairs, the door to the room they were in was closed. When I went back upstairs, to everyone shocked and yelling at me and threatening me, I asked why and what happened. They explained there was a mass shooting at that party downstairs and nobody survived. And it's been a year. I supposedly died too. I try to call my mom and dad, but they don't answer. My dad answers very upset, and he says to please stop calling. He's already mourned my loss and can't take more prank calls. I keep remembering more things that happened and slowly keep remembering more details. When I walk places, everyone everywhere acts like they're seeing a ghost. I'm famous, but for the wrong reasons. I see my sisters in public, they spit their water out.
From Alex989. I've always had dreams of my passed on loved ones, but I've never been lucid during them. Now I'm afraid to go back to sleep. In the dream, I was at a motel and walked out of a room to see my passed grandma standing there. I hugged her and told her I missed her. Everything felt emotional but normal until I started lucid dreaming. I decided to ask her how she's been since she passed away, and she got this cold, angry look on her face. I kept asking questions and she started getting restless. I tried to look her in the eyes, which used to be blue, but they were almost a dark yellow color. I grabbed my phone to take a picture of her to show my mom, and she grabbed my wrist so hard it hurt and twisted it. Her face started to melt, and her voice changed into someone else's, and she said, "If you do that again, I'll kill you." I obviously started to freak out, but it felt like I couldn't wake myself up. I couldn't scream myself awake. It took forever, but I'm awake now. I'm so afraid of going back to sleep. I've heard of dream people being sinister, but I've never experienced it firsthand.
From Lil Mal. Hey everyone. Lately I've been having some dreams that I experience in the future. I don't know if it's a normal thing or not. For example, around a month ago, I dreamed about my mother and I visiting my uncle. And I remember I was sitting on the couch and there was this frame. I looked at him and he was wearing a bright orange shirt while eating from a bag of pretzels, as well as watching a movie. 2 weeks ago, I visited him with my mother, and that happened. The exact same thing. He was wearing a bright orange shirt. He was eating from a bag of pretzels while watching a movie. Do I have superpowers? Umeo, kidding. But all jokes aside, is this normal? Like, does this ever happen, or is it just me? from Zelasadil Emu 7430. These past few months, I've had some pretty freakish dreams. As far as I remember, I've had one at least once every 2 weeks since August. It starts off innocently enough, just a normal, random, trippy dream, but it always ends with me starting to chew my teeth. Like I can literally feel my teeth getting crushed into bits and my mouth pouring with metallic-tasting blood. Last night when I woke up, I literally put my fingers inside my mouth the second I woke up and checked if I had damaged a tooth, because the sensation of blood and small bits of teeth were so real in the dream.
From Autonash. That's not all that both dreams were about. The first one was a pig monster thing. It was sort of cartoony, but still scared the shit out of me. I was in a cartoony car in the back seat. It kept sniffing around the car as it had gotten in the roof on the car. Every time I would get caught or the pig would break in, I would automatically teleport to another nearby car. W. The second is very much more traumatic and probably needs some context, so I'm giving context just in case. I was being chased by a guy from my past. The dream starts out with how he was. He was a stepdad of mine and a guy my mom married who was very abusive and whom I got molested by. He started taking control of everything I did in the dream. I don't remember the first bits, but then he starts chasing me with a tool with nails. Every time I would be faster than him, the tool would get bigger and the nails would start cutting into my skin, but I still ran. The most disturbing part to me was his face. It was in this grin with manic eyes. I remember the face so vividly. I've been thinking about this one since I woke up. Both dreams have me the same kind of feelings, disgusted and disturbed. One brought up memories that I'd like to forget. The other was just a cartoony monster pig.
From Brysonator 18. Last night I had a weird dream where I was in the desert looking for a cave. And I finally found it. And it was filled with skulls, but I stayed about a quarter-mile away from it so I wouldn't die or something. Then I told like Mr. Beast or something. Hey, well, did you cut this out your video? The cave. And then I woke up, checked the time, and it was 11. And then I fell asleep again and had a new dream, where it was kind of creepy my family gained superpowers, but I never get to see use them anyway my family got a vacation to somewhere on Iceland. And the dream was at a hotel mixed with like a movie theater, and so a riv. And everyone chooses their room, so one was underground and my uncle got that one room anyway. So then I didn't realize the dream, but room changed into a movie theater, and I was swinging on ropes on the roof in the dark theater. And while swinging, my family was watching a movie about another family in the same situation as Susan. I yelled out to my uncle saying, "Hey, could I have that room?" Which he said yes. And then the hotel manager on like Ainticom told us that we were here to see if we were good Orvelans, so we left the room. And we walked around to find her, to find out what was going on, and walked, and the room seemed to the same, but change every time. And then we stopped to see why. The room seemed infinite. And it told my family member, "Hold up. I hear our voices coming out of the other rooms." Or you hold. His door open and iron down to see why. So I started to run, but my family member started to close the door. And I ran back and said, "Hey, why are you closing it? Keep it open." And then it started to run down again, and the same thing kept happening. But I just can't remember who the family member was anyways. It cut to us watching the movie again, or I think it cut her. I just don't remember what happened in between anyways. We were watching the movie, and the family envy had plant powers, and they turned their car into dirt and plants. And the car could drive upon walls, but when it went to corners, the car would stretch and blur like it felt weird, because I noticed that in the dream Evan thought that's what dreams are, blurry. Anyway, they met the same lady, but in a different hotel. And it was based off like the White House or a castle or something. And the lady drowned a kid, and then the family was running and driving in a plant/dirt car up and down glass skyscrapers to get away from the lady. But they drove right back to her, and I'm just confused what this dream meant. But there you go. I woke up at about 5, and it felt weird that I remember everything. But last night was the first night where I passed out at 7 instead of like 1 or 11 because I was so tired. And yeah, I just started writing it as soon as I woke up, because it was really weird. Right now I'm finished, and it's 6:24.
From Frantic Finance Bro. I often dream, but there's this particular recurring dream I keep having. Even though I don't live at home and I'm in a different country for college, I always dream that I'm asleep in my bed at home. I wake up in the middle of the night in the dream, and there are robbers in my house. This has happened like 4 or 5 times back home, and now here at the new place. Once, I dreamt about the exact place, clothes, and situation. And when I woke up, I was scared whether it was real. Recently, I was fighting back against the robbers in the dream, but woke up. What does any of this mean?
From J6J2, I've no idea what this is. To this day, I've never found someone who has experienced the same thing. I have this thing, where I'll get a vivid dream that is usually a nightmare, but I can't tell why it's a nightmare. I just have a horrifying feeling in my gut during it. Uncanny is probably the best word. It's lucid in the way I can think. I can't control my dream character, but I can think like I do when I'm awake. Because of this, I always try of thinking things into the dream, but it never works. I always wake up. Nothing happens to wake me up, but I'll just wake up at some point. When I wake up, I'm always so extremely tired that I feel as if I need to sleep, like being starved. This is the kicker. The sleep paralysis always occurs when I try to go back to sleep. I'll lay my head down, and immediately as I close my eyes, usually it takes me about an hour to fall asleep, I'll feel myself slowly being tugged back into this dream world. For a few seconds, I can open my eyes and remain awake, but any more than a few seconds, I'll begin getting that horrible feeling again. But this time, it's whilst I'm awake and falling asleep, not in the dream. To get out of this state, it's the same as sleep paralysis. I need to try really hard to move a finger or something, and I'll be able to open my eyes again. For example, last night I dreamt I went to a conference for university. The conference was on the top floor of a building. As I walked to the elevator, I got a video from a friend in the meeting showing that actually the meeting was just a bunch of mannequins. I got the horrible feeling and woke up. I decided, fuck it. This time I won't try and escape. I'll go straight back into the dream and put my head back down. I passed the 20-second threshold and went into that phase where I can't move but I'm not yet asleep. And I heard someone walking in my room. I desperately tried to open my eyes and finally I did. Nothing. There's this magnetism to it. In many of the dreams, I'll be somewhere, and there'll be something behind me or to my side, which I just know is terrifying, but I can't see it. I'll try to turn my head to see the thing, but it feels like a massive magnet is pushing my head away, and when I finally break through to finally see the thing, I'll wake up, and the cycle continues.
From Throwaway Xveen Fit 103, I just had this long, surreal dream where I was wanted by the police equivalents of whatever this was. I was on death row, and the wall behind me was transparent. Just as the person in front of me was being executed, I just cut the wall and ran away from there. I kept taking refuge with one family's group of people. At one point, there was a group of people who were also hiding from the police. To another, but every time I was found out, and I ran for my life. More often than not, the people around me were given death sentences as well. At one point, it's like an entire section of the society was being killed, IDK if it was for me or not, and ultimately I got caught as well. I remember feeling frustrated as to why I kept running when I had to die ultimately. Can anyone tell me why I saw something like this? Also, this was the first time in my life where I couldn't recognize my surroundings after I woke up. For a good 5 minutes, I felt like I was still trapped in my dream.
From Significant Sir, Willen 78. So, I do partake in smoking marijuana. I've been taking a tea break for about a week, and ever since then, I have been restless. Nightmares, just terrible sleep overall. I just woke up about 30 minutes ago for real. I was stuck in some sort of loop of waking up, or more so just switching dreams into lifelike scenarios. They all felt so real, insanely real. I wish I would have written them down in my notes when I woke up. But I didn't know if I was truly awake. The dreams were torture. It was a real-life scenario that had some deep, dark twist. Like I needed help and there was nobody around. I was lost. I remember at some point there were people after me, but then I hit a waking up loop of false wake-ups. For reference, I sleep with my bedroom door halfway open, so my cat can go in and out as he pleases, towards my real-life wake-up. Some of the kitchen cabinets were making noise, and I thought by this time that I had awoken from my nightmare. I thought I was in reality at this point.
But the cabinet creaked open. Something started sliding out. It hits the floor. Another cabinet opens. I start having a panic attack. I try to call my roommate, but my phone has no service, and I go into some sort of fight or flight response and wake up. I wake up, except this time there is some sort of figure, standing in my kitchen, looking at me, coming closer slowly. I notice that I cannot move, at all, just stuck there. I scream. Nothing comes out. I just started crying. I woke up, questioned reality, checked to make sure my phone had service, and immediately called someone. It's trippy. I think this is all real life now, but I am too scared to try and sleep. P.S. This only took place over 30 minutes, but I had like 10 nightmares and it felt like days passed before. Can someone please explain this or help? I think maybe because I have been taking a break from smoking, but I am not completely sure.
From Alexandria, I keep having dreams about someone from high school I didn't really ever talk to. It's been happening maybe once a month for years. They are always different, sometimes platonic, sometimes not. I dated his friend in high school, and I had a best friend that had a huge crush on him, so I never even let it cross my mind to be interested. It's so weird. Why does he keep entering my dreams over and over?
From the local vagabond. Take last night, for instance. I dreamt I had the powers of Spider-Man, but they only worked like 10% of the time. Or I'll have a dream where I know I can fly, but no matter how hard I try, it just doesn't happen. Then the second I give up, I'm a few feet off the ground. Once in my teenage years, I had a lucid dream, and even then, I had the same kind of issues. Not sure how much I believe in the meaning of dreams. Outside of things, like having something important weighing on my mind, making it into my dream. But I'm curious what other people think it might be, without actually knowing me very well/all.
From Kennedy L. Martin, I often have dreams in reoccurring places and reoccurring characters, but never really have a reoccurring plot of a dream. Over the last few months, I've been having a lot of dreams where I'm stuck in a mass shooting situation. Often in the dream, I'm able to get out or figure out a way to get out, but every single time I need to rescue someone. Often it's a really close friend, someone I consider family. Today it was my sister. I also immediately try to comfort those around me in the dream too. Even if it's a stranger, I immediately try to create an alliance to get us all out safely. I'm almost never shot at, but hear shots fired and have to run and hide. It happens in completely different places, but has happened in a school twice, although I am well past my school days. I have been reading up on it and don't really relate to any of the meanings. Fear and entrapment just don't seem like things I can relate to at this point in my life. I am a highly anxious person though, but otherwise, I feel like I'm at a really lucky spot in life. I feel like dreams this intense and reoccurring would have to directly correlate to my life, but I can't figure out how. I was just wondering if anyone else has dreams like this, has a solution to not having these dreams anymore, and or knows any possible reason why I could be having these dreams.
From Tristan, the Robloxian 3, WSG everyone. So a few days or so after beating my cancer back in September, I had a dream where I was getting ready for school and went out to the car, and some stupid thug-looking fuckers came out and started beating the shit out of me. So I legit had to call on my whole family to help with it. We then beat the shit out of them back, and I think killed them. And then the dream ended after. A lot more happened in the dream, like more fighting and stuff, but I don't remember it all. And I'm pretty sure it was a whole metaphor for my cancer stuff, even though I'm normally trash with those. Like me and my family were me and my family. The thugs were chemo and cancer. Boom. And the getting to the car was the start of it all. Has anyone else ever dreams like this? From Test 1122322211. I would call it a nightmare if it wasn't mixed with Mario RPG. Let me explain. Today I had that dream. In that dream, I was trapped in a very big dark mansion that looks like a maze. It felt like a mansion from a horror movie because it was way too big. The ambience was dark and the walls were gray. I was trying to flee from Culex, a secret boss in Mario RPG. I was genuinely terrified in that dream. Every time that it reaches me, I have to fight him like in the game. And it was even harder compared with Mario RPG because his crystals were attacking twice per turn. I was always losing the fight, and when it happens, the dream reset. I remember that Culex could teleport while chasing me, sometimes appearing directly in front of me, and I had to fight it like 2 or 3 times. The dream continued like that for some time. Then I woke up.
From Multilingual Bitch. This one I just woke up from, so it's still fresh. I was in a summer camp with some kids my age. I'm generally introverted, so I didn't talk to them. Instead, I occupied the swing bench. Some girl came up to me. She was a typical mean girl and everything. I told her that the reason I'm not trying to make friends is because I'm scared that they will bully me and poke fun at the way I look. She then hugs me on the side and says, "Well, I'll be your friend." She offers me period pads in case I need them. We even got into the same room, and she even tells me that a guy at camp likes me. She then left and said that I could join them anytime, and she will be happy if I do. But I stayed on the swing bench. That's when I woke up.
Hopefully, you aren't hearing this message because you are asleep, but if you are still awake, I would like to thank you for joining us for tonight's Dreamtime Transmission.